Tim is jealous of his new little brother, until he discovers that the baby is a spy on a secret mission. Out of necessity, they team up to stop a businessman who wants to break the balance of love in the world. Today, we'll recap the story of the 2017 movie, The Boss Baby. Tim Templeton is a 7-year-old boy with a vivid imagination. He loves playing with his parents Ted and Janice, who work in the marketing department of Puppy Co., a company that Tim thinks is pretty cool. But things change when Tim's parents ask him how he would feel about having a little brother, and Tim, feeling like he's enough, is unaware that his mother is pregnant. Meanwhile at Baby Corp, numerous babies are born and processed through a conveyor belt. The tickle machine determines where the babies are placed. If they laugh, they're sent to families, but if they don't react, they're sent to the management. One particular baby boy is assigned to his own cubicle and given his own suit, watch, and briefcase after being pushed into management. Tim eagerly watches out of the window as he waits for his parents to arrive in a taxi with their new baby. As the taxi pulls up, Tim recognizes the baby as the same one he saw before, the Boss Baby. To Tim's surprise, the Boss Baby walks up to the front door with his briefcase, ready to take charge of the household. Once he's inside, Boss Baby immediately starts giving orders and keeping Tim's parents busy. As a result, Tim starts feeling left out and ignored. Tim is the only one who seems to be suspicious of Boss Baby, particularly because of his formal attire and briefcase. One night, Tim sneaks into Boss Baby's room and overhears him speaking on the phone with the voice of a grown man. Tim realizes that Boss Baby can actually talk and confronts him. Despite Tim's attempts to expose him, Boss Baby remains unfazed and even threatens to reveal Tim's personal information from his secret life, such as his middle name Leslie. Boss Baby warns Tim that he needs to improve his behavior or risk being fired by his parents. Determined to expose Boss Baby's true intentions, Tim decides to spy on him during a playdate with his baby associates Jimbo, Stacy, and the triplets. During the playdate, Boss Baby delivers a presentation about Baby Corp's rival company, Puppy Co. He warns the other babies about the CEO, Francis, who is about to reveal a new puppy that could pose a threat to babies everywhere. As Boss Baby quizzes the other babies about what they have learned from the presentation, they become visibly nervous and put on their best baby act when Tim's parents walk in. Tim manages to record the baby's conversation, but they catch him in the act and set out to retrieve the tape. Tim is forced to flee from the babies in the backyard as he attempts to show the tape to his parents. Boss Baby chases after Tim in a small car while the other babies pursue him on foot. Tim manages to trap Stacy in the sandbox and Jimbo crashes through a fence. The triplets are also thwarted in their attempt to stop Tim. As Tim rushes back into the house, chaos erupts as the adults witness their kids' wild behavior. Tim runs to his parents' office and finds Boss Baby sitting in their chair, demanding the tape or he'll harm Tim's beloved stuffed toy, Lamb Lamb. A struggle ensues, and in the process, Lamb Lamb's head is accidentally ripped off. Furious, Tim puts Boss Baby in his walker and threatens to launch him out the window. Just as he's about to do so, Ted and Janice walk in and see the scene. They misunderstand what's happening and assume that Tim is trying to harm his baby brother. As a result, Tim is grounded, and in his frustration, he tosses the tape into the street. Boss Baby enters Tim's room to find him crying and decides it's finally time to explain his situation to the boy. He hands Tim one of his pacifiers and tells him to suck on it until he gets the answers he needs. The two are then transported to Baby Corp as holographic projections, where they witness how everything operates. Boss Baby shares how he climbed the ranks to management and how many other great Boss Babies came before him. He reveals his aspiration to become like the most famous baby, Super Colossal Big Fat Boss Baby, which would grant him his own office and personal potty. He also explains how the babies stay young by drinking a special formula that prevents them from aging. When Big Boss Baby is seen pressuring him for results, Boss Baby panics and snaps himself and Tim back to reality. He explains that if he doesn't succeed in his mission to bring down Puppy Co., he will be fired and forced to live with the Templeton family forever. Tim agrees to help Boss Baby, but only because he wants him to leave as soon as possible. The two boys put on an act for their parents, pretending to love each other and play together, while secretly teaming up to gather information about a new puppy. Ted and Janice later invite the boys to attend Bring Your Kid to Work Day at Puppy Co. While there, Tim is offered the opportunity to spend time with Ted and Janice, but instead chooses to stay with Boss Baby so they can search for the new puppy. To sneak past security, Tim has Boss Baby disguise himself as a puppy. They successfully retrieve a file on the new puppy, but must replace it with another file. Unfortunately, Boss Baby drools on the replacement file, triggering an alarm. The file they thought was the new puppy turns out to be a fake. Eugene, dressed as Puppy Go's mascot, catches the boys in the act. Eugene takes the boys to meet Francis, who reveals himself to be the grown-up super colossal big fat Boss Baby. In his early days at Baby Corp, he had successfully achieved his desired promotion and was at the top of his game. However, due to his lactose intolerance, the formula eventually stopped working for him, resulting in his expulsion from Baby Corp. Now, seeking revenge against his former employer, Francis plans to create the Forever Puppy, an eternal cute puppy that would steal all the attention away from babies. To achieve this goal, he needs a special formula, which Eugene extracts from Tim's backpack. After taking what he needs, Eugene sends the boys away. Ted and Janice entrust Eugene, disguised as a housekeeper, to look after the boys while they head to Las Vegas with Francis to unveil the Forever Puppy. However, without the crucial formula, Boss Baby reverts to behaving like a regular boy. Tim and Boss Baby devise a plan to escape from Eugene by pretending that Boss Baby is sick and spewing fake vomit all over him. The boys flee on Tim's bike, with Eugene in hot pursuit on a wagon. Boss Baby contacts Stacy, Jimbo, and the triplets for backup. Together, they help the boys reach the airport while stopping Eugene in his tracks. Unfortunately, the boys miss their flight to Vegas, and they argue, each blaming the other for the failure. Tim accuses Boss Baby of being a regular baby when they needed him to be a boss, while Boss Baby faults Tim for being unable to ride a bike without training wheels. A heated exchange follows, with Tim telling Boss Baby that he knows nothing about having a real family. This leads to Boss Baby abandoning Tim and leaving him alone at the airport. After some time, Boss Baby reaches out to Tim on a phone that's conveniently placed beside him. They make amends and decide to team up to make their way to Vegas, realizing that they need each other's help. The boys track down a group of Elvis impersonators who are heading to a convention at Vegas, but they're unaware that Eugene is secretly following them. During the flight to Vegas, Tim pretends that he and Boss Baby are the captain's children to enjoy some special privileges. He then introduces Boss Baby to a fun playtime activity where they pretend to be pirates and take over a ship. This turns out to be the first time that Boss Baby has ever experienced actual fun in his life. The group of boys arrive in Las Vegas and head to the convention center for the big reveal. Francis, with the help of Ted and Janice, introduces the Forever Puppy to the audience. However, things take a sinister turn when Francis traps Ted and Janice in a large heart and rolls them away. Meanwhile, Eugene attempts to capture the boys as they chase after Francis, who plans to launch the Forever Puppies with a rocket. Although Eugene chases after the boys through a series of tubes, they manage to outsmart him and he falls into a giant litter box where he gets scratched up by cats. Eventually, the boys catch up with Francis, who tries to throw them over the edge. However, Tim and Boss Baby use their pirate game to throw Francis into a vat of formula. The boys then rescue their parents and prevent the puppies from being launched. As a result, Boss Baby turns back into a normal baby, but gets stuck on the rocket. However, Tim saves his brother by singing something to bring him down. Finally, Tim protects his brother as the empty rocket takes off. Tim rushes to the vat of formula and gives some to Boss Baby, returning him to his normal state. However, Francis also emerges from the vat, transformed back into super colossal big fat Boss Baby. He threatens the boys, but Eugene steps in and gives Francis a pacifier, promising to raise him properly this time. After the adventure, the boys return home, and Boss Baby is able to leave for his promotion. The other babies from Baby Corp erase all memories of Boss Baby's presence from Ted and Janice's minds. But Tim chooses to remember him. Despite Boss Baby's success and promotion, both Tim and Boss Baby miss each other and feel unfulfilled. Tim writes a heartfelt letter to Boss Baby and sends him some of his toys. Boss Baby becomes overjoyed and runs to the main room to play with a computer, effectively quitting his job. He jumps on the conveyor belt and sends himself down on the family chute. Sometime later, Boss Baby returns to the family as a normal baby, with the name Theodore Lindsay Templeton. Tim is thrilled to see him, and it appears that the baby remembers him too. The brothers continue to have many adventures together. The story jumps to the future, where an adult Tim is telling the entire tale to his daughter, who is about to meet her new baby sister. Adult Ted is also present, and he and Tim share a close brotherly bond. The daughter peers into the delivery room and sees her baby sister. However, to her surprise, the baby rises from her bed wearing a suit. And that concludes our recap of the beloved animated comedy, The Boss Baby. With its witty humor and heartwarming message, it's no wonder why audiences of all ages have fallen in love with this film. But before we say goodbye, let's take a moment to shift our attention to another family favorite, The Croods. Just like The Boss Baby, The Croods is a fun-filled adventure that's sure to delight audiences of all ages. With a star-studded cast and stunning animation, this prehistoric family is sure to capture your heart and take you on an epic journey through time. So, whether you are a fan of The Boss Baby, or looking for a new family favorite, The Croods is definitely worth checking out. So click this video and I'll see you there.